Okay, folks, we're going to talk to you a little bit about composites. So, at a higher level, within the materials section, you have to have an understanding of composites. These are new types of materials that are created by combining a number of materials together that would have different physical or chemical properties. So, they are an alternative to your more traditional materials of wood, metal, or plastic. We talk a little bit about what we call polymer composites. They're made up of two parts, the matrix and the reinforcer. The matrix being something like a resin, so if you kind of think of it as like an adhesive or a glue, that's what's going to set this new composite material. The other part is what we would call the reinforcer, and that's made up of fibres, and they are combined with that resin to create this composite material. An example you would have heard of, fiberglass, again, where you would use the resin as a matrix, and then your reinforcer would be those glass fibers, which are put together to create that composite material. Now, fiberglass, as you may be familiar with, is used for things like boats, and it's used for boats for a number of reasons. It's very strong, it's really lightweight, and you can form those materials into really complex shapes that you might need for boats. Another example of a composite would be carbon fibre, again, that you've probably heard of. Works on the same principle where you have a resin and then you use those carbon fibres which you form into shapes, and typically used in things like the aerospace industry or the automotive industry, where you're trying to make products which are really strong but are also lightweight. Just going slightly further on with composites, obviously we're trying to think about the impact on the environment. So there are new options here for the resins, which are, you can get naturally sourced resins, and for the sort of materials that we'd use for the fibre, the reinforcer. So there are a number out there, and obviously the benefits about these are that they're 100% biodegradable, they're pretty low cost, and readily available. So there are a number of options out there for biocomposites. The last wee thing I want to just talk about is just in general, what are those advantages to using composites rather than using traditional materials? And most of them I've mentioned, but they're on this table here for you to have a little read through. We've mentioned that idea of being high strength. If you take something like carbon fibre, it's actually got higher strength than something like a piece of steel. Then if you think about the fact that these composites are really lightweight, so the fact you're getting that really high strength to weight ratio, which is really useful. Other things about composites, they are really durable and just really corrosive resistance. So, they're definitely something to consider rather than using some sort of traditional material like metal. And then, as I've mentioned before, if we think about the sort of complex shapes that we can come up with using composites, flexibility in there. So there's a number of reasons why a composite material would be chosen over traditional materials. So that's what you need to sort of be familiar with regards to composites.